Okay, so we've got this pretty interesting deep dive to get into today.
Yeah.
We've seen some analysis about the Warriors after they got Jimmy Butler. And, well, the big thing we want to figure out is like, what does it all actually mean, right? Like, how much did the trade really change things? What does it tell us about the Warriors and the whole Western Conference?
Yeah, that's right. I think this stuff really shows us how different this Warriors team is now, right? I mean, the biggest thing is that, before Butler, they were basically done right. They were out of it. And now suddenly, they're like this force in the West.
Yeah, like terrifying everyone.
Right. Oh.
It's not just talk, though, right? The numbers actually back it up. Like, when Butler and Curry are both playing, they've won 17 out of their 19 games together.
Yeah.
That's a huge win percentage,
Yeah.
right? Like, what is it about them together that just works so well?
It's interesting. What's really cool here is that Butler coming in seems to have made both their offense and their defense better at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah, they're a top 5 team now in the league for both offensive rating, which is, how many points they score per 100 possessions, and defensive rating, which is, how many points they give up per 100 possessions.
Yeah.
You don't see that very often, that kind of efficiency on both sides of the court.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, their defense got way better or
Yeah.
just their offense, So
Right.
it really does seem like their whole team identity has kind of like shifted.
Totally, yeah.
We also see this little bit of drama. We mentions Heat fans being furious and like a, cryptic interview with Pat Riley.
Oh, yeah.
What do you make of all that?
Well, I mean, we don't know exactly what was said in the interview, but you get the sense that, maybe Butler leaving Miami wasn't the smoothest thing, And maybe that's giving him some extra motivation now that he's with the Warriors, but the analysis, it focuses pretty quickly on what it calls the Warriors' secret weapon, and that's Butler's leadership.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. It's not just about like his scoring or his defense. It's like, this leadership thing, the impact he has on everyone else.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like those moments when they have him mic'd up during games and you hear him talking to everyone.
Right, exactly.
So how does that kind of leadership, how does that actually translate into like, them playing better on the court?
Well, a lot of times, when you have a leader who's really vocal like that, it makes the other players, more accountable, and it kind of raises the intensity level for everyone, especially on defense. If Butler is setting that tone of like, we got to be focused, we got to be intense, it can really spread to the rest of the team. And that could be a big reason why their defense has gotten so much better.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, we're talking about how much better the Warriors have gotten, but it all comes down to this, right? Can they beat OKC?
Right.
Because OKC's at the top of the Western Conference right now.
They're number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, how do these Warriors with Butler, all fired up, how do they stack up against a team that's been consistently good all season long?
That's the big question, right? It's like you have OKC who have been playing at this really high level all year, and then you have the Warriors who, have been amazing since the trade and have these like super high efficiency numbers.
Right.
So it's really a classic matchup. It's consistency versus this like peak potential and momentum.
Yeah. So if we kind of sum all this up, right, for you, the listener, it's pretty clear that getting Jimmy Butler has had a huge impact on the Warriors.
Absolutely.
We can see it in the numbers. Their offense and defense are both way better, and they win a ton of games when their main guys are on the court together.
Yeah.
And then, there's this whole drama thing going on in the background with Miami. But what really stands out is his leadership.
Yeah. That seems to be a big part of why they've turned things around.
So the question now is, can this new supercharged Warriors team, can they keep it going? Can they, take down the top dog OKC in the playoffs? Yeah, that's the big question.
It's going to be exciting to see what happens.
Totally.
So, we've seen this huge change in how the Warriors are playing, and now they look like they could be the best team in the West.
Right.
What do you think this tells us about how power shifts in the NBA? Like, does this mean that even late in the season, teams can come out of nowhere and become like real contenders for the championship?
Yeah.
I think it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
You too.
And for everyone listening, thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll catch you next time.